Here's the truth about selling in the DMs. There are two main ways to do it, and it's harder than people think it is. But I'm going to tell you both ways to do it. And if you execute one of these ways, depending on what level you're at, then you will see more selling in your DMs. I've sold probably everything that I've ever sold through DM, not on purpose all the time, but like most people, maybe 20% of my client base over the last 10 years has been people I've met in person, or maybe 30%. Everybody else has been through Facebook, Instagram, some way through your DM, you're chatting in the DMs or whatever, right? So you've really got four choices. You can do it through run a paid strategy or an organic strategy, and an automated one or a manual one, or some combination of both of those things. So let me cover it. The first way would be paid with automation. So basically, you run ads with a messenger optimization, Facebook or Instagram, mainly, because that's usually mostly people I work with, like if you're selling a digital product or something, or a physical product. And you run ads, and those ads, you ask someone to DM you something, leave a comment that says a word, and it goes into, basically that triggers the automation sequence. I have done this for a number of people, whether it's for registrants for webinars or whether it's to watch VSLs. It is a really good, it works really well. The benefit of it is that you don't have to rely on a closing team. You don't have to pay any commissions. You don't have to spend a lot of time on sales calls, because content's driving most of that inbound leads, your organic, or you could do some paid of that too. And it is working really well these days for so many people, and we're seeing this shift in the market. 5-10 years ago, it was like, you got to be on all the sales calls. That's the dream. Sales, full calendar. But we've been seeing this switch maybe since 2020, or just in the last little bit, that not everyone wants to spend all their time on a closed calendar, which is great, obviously, for the setter and closer markets. But anyway, there's a lot of benefits to that. Post content, leave a comment, get into an automated sequence, and either basically, I'll leave it at that. And then the other strategy, which I've used for most of my personal stuff and how I've personally gotten clients, is just through, you post organic, and then you get into manual DM conversations. Now, that could either be done through yourself or with a closer, depending on what you sell, but it's a really awesome skill to have, just as something you could add into your sales funnel, because it does decrease. Like, for instance, for me, I don't fall on the side of totally not having any sales calls ever. I actually like sales calls, and I do like talking to people, but I don't want it all the time. I also don't want to necessarily manage a closer outside the closers I already manage for partners and things like that. So that's just my choice. But what's great about the DM thing is that you can fit it in based on the things that you want to change. Like, if there is anything you want to change in your funnel, or you don't really like how it's set up, adding in some kind of DM sales mechanism is a really great way to just make more revenue, be more profitable, things like that. And one more thing I guess I'll add into that is you can also do paid to manual, if you have a setter, and a lot of people use that, and basically all of those work. So it just depends on which one you do and which one fits best within what you want and the strategy you're already running. And because there's been a lot of new tools in that space, it's allowing for a lot more creative opportunity. Now, the thing to remember, though, is that it's not just a set it and forget it thing where you're either doing it, whether it's manual or whether it's through an automation or using a setter. You have to constantly be tweaking it and make it feel as organic as possible and as on brand as possible for you. Meaning, you use the kind of words that you would use, the language that you would use, the tones, all that stuff. You just keep working on that aspect. It's just going to make your DM strategy a lot stronger and a lot more magnetic. Put in some gifts that you would like, or the brand that you run them for would like, and just asking yourself those fundamental brand questions, because I've seen it run very generic. People just put up, for instance, someone makes a piece of content and it says, oh, hey, if you want my XYZ system, comment strategy in the comments and I'll send you a copy or whatever. And that comes through an automation. If it's too basic, like, hey, here's the thing that you asked for, whatever, you're not going to stand out nearly as much as if you add in a little bit of a voice to it. Like, I've engaged with some really, really, really good ones where people just say, like, hey, it's Dan, great to connect, like, great to hear from you, great to connect, and they're just using those terms. I'm working on a funnel right now that's very niche in the music space, and I've really noticed it there, just how important it is to just make it a little bit more of a personality and use some of that language that they would use, like tracks. We had an issue with one of the ads. It said, like, it mentioned Pro Tools, but this specific audience uses Ableton. So we changed that. That kind of, those small details go a long way. So regardless if you are using it in automation, add that in. And then if you're doing it manual and through your setter, make sure that that's the case too. Like, if I'm talking to someone in their DMs, like, it's good. It goes a long way if it's the actual person running it. Of course, they can't always do that, but if you're going to have someone else in your DMs, you will make more sales and make more conversions if you're continuously training them to sound either like you or like the brand and really develop that voice so it can be replicable, which just really allows you to stand out in, what is at this point a bit of a crowded market, right? A lot of us use social media to get clients and things like that, or customers, So hopefully this helps. I'm a huge advocate, clearly, for people putting DM sales funnel some sort of DM strategy into their sales funnel. And if you want help with anything like this and putting it into your sales funnel, I've got an application below. Feel free to fill it out, and we can see if you're the right fit.